now putting all kind of resurrecting barriers, including the ones of H1B. So this is going to be tough. And automobiles, as it is known around the world, is a prime mover for the economy. It's always been a prime engine to move the economy. If automobiles are doing well, that means the economy is doing well. And unfortunately, that is when these sort of things happen, the first thing that gets hurt is through consumer behavior. Consumer doesn't get back, doesn't want to buy cars. So even if GM gets another $20 billion, which they have incidentally asked for, again, and bailout is the big word out there. So even if they get that, but the consumer is not back to the market, it doesn't help. And all this sentiment, because we are so electronically connected, every one of us would like to see CNN or BBC or CNBC and things like this, or get onto the net. The Indian consumer is also in that gloom and doom, while we are not as bad. So first thing is, let's perk up ourselves. We don't want to not know the reality, but we also want to know that our economy is not in that state. Our banking system is fairly okay, although they are risk averse, but they are not in as bad a situation as some of the world that was supposed to be. We all thought that we should eliminate, try to copy that. The world made about 69 million passenger vehicles, and I don't even think that it's going to hit anywhere near 55 in this 2009. There's a downturn, a huge amount of stocks lying, both in Europe, in US, and I'm saying all this because that's how it's impacting the Indian auto industry and the auto component industry as well. Component makers, the first years, the technology leaders are also in deep trouble because they're literally 30 to 40% down in their capacities. They have to cope up with costs which are fixed costs, and it's very, very rare that a company like Toyota, and every one of us think that that's the way to go. Toyota production system, we've been trying to sort of follow that in such a great way. They also made losses in the first time in the history of their 70 years of existence. So when all this is happening in this scenario, what does the Indian industry look like? And my connection with Ramesh was more established way back in 2002-03 when I was the president of ACMA for the first time, and we wanted to do, I said, let's do a vision for the auto industry for the country. And Ramesh and McKinsey's got together and we did a survey, got their knowledge partners back in US and everywhere, and we thought that we must put a vision for ourselves, which we also sold to the government incidentally, and it also became the Auto Mission Plan, which was released by the Prime Minister 2 years back, which said that there was $700 billion worth of components which were offshoreable. That means that if the auto world made 69 million vehicles, plus we just said about 2%, it made 2% more every year on year, there would be $700 billion worth of opportunity for these components to get offshored, to be made outside somewhere. And we were not very ambitious as the country. We said, let's only aim for 3.5% around that. So we put a vision of $20 billion of exporting components by 2015-16. And the logic was very good. And we were growing at a CAGR rate of nearly 30%, since the last 5 years. We were gung-ho. We were always talking about where is the next investment going to come from. And if we are to achieve these figures, $20 billion worth of the turnover from domestic side, $20 billion from the export side, and we also included, it's essential for all of us to say that, and for a country like ours, to add a million jobs, at least in the main industry, not in the upstream and downstream. Now with this as a vision, we were talking about investments, and we said that a minimum $1 billion worth of investment must go into the industry year on year. And if you heard that possibly in each one of these speeches of the Commerce Minister, which he has ever given, when he declares the import-export policy, the auto component word is always mentioned. Because the government, we could also have the government buy into this story. So in 2007, when we had our ACMA AGM, we had a theme of how to manage growth, the way we were. And we didn't know that after a year we would be, talking of something totally different. But that's life. That's the way it is. So let's recap these mega changes which we have just seen. What are these mega changes? The way the global auto industry is, the way you have seen it for years and years, I don't think that's ever going to be the same in times to come. So that's a big change. Also, that the governments, whether it's the government in US, they first said that they would have an auto czar who would run this auto industry or administer what they should be doing, what they should be selling, pretty much like the old Russians. They were doing the planned economies. But now they have formulated a committee. So the government role in running the industry is also going to be there. So that's a mega change. Further, the value proposition, as you heard for all the supply chain, is going to be grossly changed. Because whether we like it or not, there is going to be a home bias. They are going to give preference in some way or the other that the components made in US are preferred over the components made out of India and China. The third is the technology, which is going to be changing majorly, because the way the behaviorals of the consuming society in US was that they were reaping the benefits out of the housing market, spending merrily, which the world was financing in the first place. And what they were doing is that they were taking big cars,